What's up, y'all? Sales Bro Pod, episode 6. This time around, we've got longtime salesperson, Mr. Cole. Thank you for coming on, Cole.
Yeah, man, appreciate it. Appreciate you having me.
This is going to be a good episode. I think you've got a lot of helpful insight because you've sold a bunch of different things, different structures, different points in your life. Can we start out by you just telling the audience like what you're up to right now, and then we'll go back from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So right now, primarily focusing on my business. So I own a company called Digital Merch Pros. Essentially, we build e-commerce brands for professional athletes. So I work with a lot of NFL players. At this point, probably have like 50 plus NFL clients between the NFL, and then I also work with some college guys too now because of the NIL rules. So pretty awesome. We can essentially like build their whole merchandise line from start to finish and manage everything for them. So I get to, I have a lot of relationships with like, sports agencies and athletes themselves and stuff like that. And so it's super cool because my background, I've been in sports pretty much my whole life. So it was something I was really passionate about. And then I also do like sales training. So I train some sales guys on, improving their skills in terms of high ticket sales and then also finding good opportunities. And then I work with investors now to acquire like cash flowing e-commerce brands. So we can kind of talk about this obviously too, but it's just crazy when you start off, in this space and kind of like, you never know what is going to lead to the next thing. And kind of where I'm at now is dealing with, high transactions that I probably would have never guessed that I would be dealing with when I first came into the space. So yeah, man, it's awesome. I love it. Every day is different and there's a lot of cool stuff to do and made a ton of cool connections and stuff. So it's been awesome.
Yeah, I think you're a perfect example of being a sales guy turned entrepreneur, and like you're still doing sales for yourself and your different companies. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you're like late 20s, right?
I'm 28. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, a lot of the guys that are going to be listening, I'd assume they're probably going to be younger and they're probably in sales and they're like, I either need to like progress within sales or it's time for me to take that next step. So again, looking to unpack some of this and provide a lot of value. But going back, now we know where you are. Going back, I don't know, however far you want to go back when you first started selling, your first like business, like how did all of this sales and business stuff start for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I would say always knew growing up that I wanted to do business. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was blessed to have really good like examples in my life. Like my dad is an entrepreneur, been an entrepreneur pretty much his whole life. My stepmom, who's like my real mom, is an entrepreneur too. She's a really incredible real estate agent. So I just had good examples of like what it looked like to kind of work for yourself and work hard and be successful. And so I always knew that that's the route I really wanted to go. So went to college to play baseball. Was going to school for business, but school for me, man, as I'm sure a lot of people on here, it was just never something that like really motivated me. Like obviously I could do it when I focused and was good, and I got good grades and everything, but it just wasn't something that like, I don't know, it just wasn't the path I felt like I was supposed to be on, but I did it, got my school paid for, for baseball and academic reasons. So I got a degree in business. While I was in college, I would say the first thing that kind of introduced me to the business world is that, like a lot of people, I started off drop shipping. So I had a friend that was doing e-commerce and drop shipping. And so I dove into that, started off with a phone case drop shipping business on AliExpress. So got some experience doing that. And then when I graduated, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. My uncle is a very successful like insurance agent. So he always told me like, going into insurance and owning your own agency is a really good route to go. You get to own your own business. You get to make a lot of money. And so I went and worked for a top State Farm agent in Austin, Texas, where I was going to school at, and did sales there for 2 years. Probably one of the best things I've ever done, to be honest. Definitely was not like the best thing in terms of like what I wanted to be doing long term, but having to cold call people every single day, like having to like step out of your shell and having to talk to people on the phone every single day and just get really confident with that process. And then taking somebody who wasn't even expecting you to call them to actually closing the deal on the call. Like, you can't really replace that actual experience. So
Yeah.
did that for 2 years. And while I was doing that in my second year, I was like, all right, this is cool and all, but definitely want to make more money, definitely want to have more freedom, definitely want to be able to do whatever I want to do. And so that's when I got the idea for my business. And I would go home and after my 9 to 5 and just grind, man, just work on it, try to learn, do stuff every single day. Because like at the end of the day, you can only, if you complain about your situation, the only way to get out of it is to do something about it. So I would just work every single day at that. Got the idea for my business and then created it while I was still working at my 9 to 5. And I was literally running out of my office to take, calls with NFL agents and talk to NFL players and stuff like that, until the point where it got to the point where I was like, all right, I can't manage this anymore.
Yeah.
So I had to kind of go all in. And I did, man. And I haven't looked back since. It's definitely the best decision that I've ever made. But so that's kind of how I got started, I would say, doing 9 to 5 insurance sales, and then, getting an idea for my business and just going all in, really.
Yeah. I also started, I never knew I wanted to be like entrepreneur, really. I just knew I wanted to live the life that I wanted to live. And like, that's just how the cards were dealt. Like in order for me to do that, I had to do my own thing or get into sales. But going back like all the way to the drop shipping thing, because I know a lot of people listening to this have tried it. Like, how long did you try that for? And when did you realize, dude, this is not what I thought it was?
So actually, man, like, thank God that I did drop shipping, honestly, just because it taught me a lot about e-commerce. Like, I learned a lot. And then while I was also working in my 9 to 5, I actually invested into an e-commerce drop shipping mentorship program.
Mm,
And so I, invested in myself at that time. It was like $2,500, $3,000, something like that. But at that time, I'm like, that's not like, that's not a lot of money now, but that's a lot of money back then, especially. And I was like, I got to take that leap. And so I did it. And that really opened me up to the knowledge of like how everything operates behind the scenes, like all the different things you need to know in e-commerce and
yeah.
stuff like that, which sparked the idea for my business. Like if I don't do that mentorship, I probably don't get the idea for my business. And
Yeah.
so that mentorship really gave me the idea for my business. And so, I mean, I guess I never stopped doing e-commerce really, because I'm still involved in e-commerce, but
Yeah.
the drop shipping, YouTube guys, the guys making, I mean, there's definitely people that make a lot of money from drop shipping, but I would say it's not as easy as it looks.
Mhm.
There's a lot more that goes into it than just putting some products on a blank website and marketing
Yeah.
them. So I didn't do it for a long time. I really got the knowledge, invested in the mentorship, got more knowledge, and then said, screw that, I'm gonna start my own business, and then started essentially pivoting to like more service side of e-commerce, essentially.
Yeah. So when you dropped that, then you went to insurance sales. Like for a while, you were just strictly, well, you were in school when you were doing insurance, but like you were just strictly focused on like sales, sales, sales for the insurance company, right?
100%.
Cool.
Yeah. And I got really good at it. I mean, it's like anything else. Like, when I played sports my whole life, so I was super competitive. I wanted to be the best at everything I ever did. And so I was really, really motivated in the beginning and was really, really good at it. And then you get to that point where it's like, you kind of want more. It kind of demotivates you. And you're like, I'm doing this and I'm making this much. And, I have to work this set amount of hours, request off if I want to do this, just no like actual time or location freedom whatsoever. And
Yeah.
so I just knew I had to do something else. And something that would motivate me a little bit more.
Yeah. 100%. I'm sure you're familiar with like some of the insurance stuff that goes on now. And I wouldn't be surprised if some insurance guys were going to watch this. But like, what is it like selling for an office or like another rep versus what people are doing now, which is like, I don't know if I fully understand it, but like basically selling under almost like a brokerage, like, but for themselves, like it seems like they're making a whole lot more money. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of have your own agency essentially, or like your own
Yeah.
brokerage that you can sell different insurance. Like the money's made in insurance and life insurance. Like they make a
Yeah.
lot of money selling life policies, and they can get paid residuals off those policies for a really long time. But how a lot of these agencies are set up, it's more like it's kind of like a franchise model. Like you're
Yeah.
essentially your own business, but within State Farm, essentially, in that regard. So
Yeah.
they have their own individual agency that's their name on it, but it's State Farm at the end of the day. The
Yeah.
difference I would say is that, like, you work directly for the agent, and not that you can't make money, but the agents are the ones that are, they're doing really, really well.
Yeah. And the percentage that you're making, like, isn't it less in comparison to the others because you're using like the State Farm name? So like they get their cut, or no?
Probably, yeah. And again, when you're the sales rep, you're like the sales rep at the agency,
Yeah.
so you're even lower, right? So your
Yeah.
cuts at the end of the day is pretty diluted at that point.
Yeah. I think I had a similar experience, like not cold calling, but like door to door. And if you have a year or two of that under your belt and then come in to do some of the stuff, whether it's like high ticket sales or just like a more professional industry, then it's just so much easier. Because if you start trying trying to go into the higher level stuff from the jump, and you don't know the fundamentals, and you've not like put your head against the wall and tried cold calling and door knocking over and over and over again, like fought through that frustration, like it's going to be so much harder. And you said it like earlier in the recording, like it was some of the best experience that you had, and you probably wouldn't be exactly where you are today without it. So I guess as far as the insurance stuff goes, when did you realize, all right, dude, like this vehicle is not the vehicle for me? Or like, when did you start, I don't know, exploring bigger options?
I would say probably in the second year, just because like if you go so there's a couple different routes into going into owning your own agency. Like you can come in as somebody who's done something else and then go in and open your own agency. You have to have the capital, obviously, to do it, or you do the route that I was going to be on, which is working your way up essentially, and like, working in the agency for, I mean, there was guys working there for, 5, 6, 7 years more or something
Yeah.
like that. I just knew that I was not going to last that long making that money and that lifestyle and working a traditional 9 to 5 and doing that. So I would say in my second year, I really realized like, okay, I'm good at sales. I like this. I got good experience. Like, I want to do something else. I got to start looking into something else, but I didn't want to look for another job. I wanted to look for something that like would give me the time and location freedom, the income potential, like pretty much everything that I wanted to do. And then probably like most people in the space and doing anything for yourself, like once you get that first transaction under your belt and you see what's actually possible and what's actually attainable, like when I closed my first client for my business for $2,500, I was like, it's over. I'm done.
Yeah.
It shows you the light as to like what's actually possible out here and what you can actually do. And so, once you get that taste, it's like, I was never scared to work hard or like grind for something. I just needed to have like a different vehicle that would give me more potential pretty much. And so once I saw that, I was like, full-fledged force going forward. And so I knew,
Yeah.
once I proved concept, I was like, okay, like I can do this. I just got to go harder.
Yeah. I had two questions I want to ask. One, did you finish school?
Yep. I got a business degree. Yep.
Cool. And secondly, a lot of people who are in a situation like yourself or myself, like your parents probably have a big influence on you. And you said they did because they're entrepreneurs. Like as you were kind of like feeling stuff out in the college years, and then when you transitioned to your own thing, were they like super supportive, or were they like, maybe you should stay with the insurance agency? Or like, how were they influencing you at the time?
So they definitely were supportive. I mean, like they saw what I was doing. They knew I was really good, and they knew that like at the end of the day, you're not going to make a ton of money doing that. And so like at that point, my parents really wanted me to get a degree just to have it. Like my
Yeah.
dad doesn't have a degree, and he is very successful, and he still wishes he kind of had a degree just because like it's something good to
Yeah.
have. And like, especially now in today's day and age, I mean, I kind of have mixed feelings on it. I think it depends on your situation and what you're trying to do. But at the end of the day, how much I matured throughout those years, and then also the people that I met and everything and the experiences I had. And I played sports too, so it was a little bit different.
Yeah.
But I mean, because you see 21-year-olds now that are in our space that are crushing it, and it's like you kind of wish you would have started a little bit earlier, but at the same time, I wasn't the same person at 21 that I am now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So So yeah, I mean, once they saw like, I got the idea, I kind of told them about it. People our parents' age don't know too much about this type of stuff, but
Yeah.
they thought it was a cool idea. They thought it sounded cool. And then once I kind of showed, okay, this can be a legitimate thing, like closed a couple clients. Like, I mean, my second client, one of my second or third clients was like Deshaun Jackson, who's a Hall of Famer NFL player. So like I proved that this could actually be something that was legitimate. And so, they knew that like I have a business degree. I now have 2 years of sales experience under my belt. Let's say I fail. Okay, what am I going to do now? I can go back and get, at worst case, an insurance sales job, 100% a different sales job, or do something. So
Yeah.
I was kind of already living my worst case scenario, right? And I think a lot of people are in that similar position where they're kind of scared to like go do something else, or they're kind of too comfortable, I would say. And it's one of those things where you kind of got to analyze, okay, what happens if I actually fail? What am I going to go
Yeah.
do then? And if you're going to go do what you're already doing, then you're already currently living in your worst case scenario. So why not go try to do something? You'll learn a lot regardless. And if you fail, okay, well, now you're going back to what you're already doing right now. So they were pretty supportive. I mean, they knew I could go back if I had to.
Yeah. Dude, I have that conversation with a lot of guys who like come into high ticket sales and they're like, dude, I have this opportunity, but I'm afraid to leave my job. But I've never phrased it like that. Like you're already in your worst case scenario. But I have come to the conclusion that, hey, you're good at what you do. You can either go back with that company or find another one, and you'll get hired in like 24 hours because of what you've done, assuming they've done something measurable. So
Yeah.
that was something I was going to ask you when you were at the insurance job and you were like starting to think, all right, dude, this is, having some success here, starting to pick up. How long did you think about quitting before you actually quit?
So I wanted to build concept a little bit more. People talk about this, and we'll talk. I'm sure we'll talk about this later, but about money Twitter and everything like that. I've been on money Twitter for a long time. I wasn't posting and stuff, but I had found that corner of Twitter for a while. And so, you see all the takes like, don't quit your 9 to 5 till you make double what you make at your 9 to 5, or, prove concept before you do this, and that. And so I definitely wanted to at least have some form of proof of concept, and then also have like a pretty solid safety net of, cash in the reserves, essentially, to where like I wasn't going to be struggling to figure out how I'm about to pay my bills or something like that. So I would say probably about 5 to 6 months, I knew I was going to quit. I was kind of just waiting for, I was kind of just waiting to like prove concept a little bit further, develop a little bit further, build things out a little bit more, build up a little bit more of a safety net. Had a lot of built up PTO, which I was like, I can essentially get paid to work to get off and focus on my business and stuff like that too. So I kind of just played it strategically in terms of when it made the most sense to go all in.
Yeah.
But I would say probably about 5 to 6 months, I kind of knew the writing was on the wall. It was a matter of when, not, if.
Yeah. And I think maybe I'm remembering wrong, but did you also work as like a high ticket closer for a coaching company too?
Yeah, 100%. That was the first thing I did in high ticket sales. So, well, actually, if you count, I actually found, which was a good segue for me, while I was still working at my 9 to 5 and while I was still doing my business, I literally found these two guys on Facebook that were hiring a closer for an insurance leads agency. Like they would sell leads to insurance agents. And like that was money for me because I knew the language and the verbiage already. And I was like, I can do this 100%. And these guys were in another time zone. They were in Europe, I'm pretty sure. So I was getting up at like 5 a.m. to get on calls with these guys because like I was motivated. So I wanted to work
Yeah.
hard and do something. So I got on a couple sales calls with that, closed one of my first deals. I think the commission was like $300 or $350 or something like that. But still, it's like that first money you make online. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
I can do this 100%. And so, yeah, I ended up getting a high ticket sales role for a business coaching program. And again, I attribute that to probably the second best thing I've ever done, because I think that something that kind of people don't talk a lot in our space, and when we're trying to help these people get into this space, is that it's really difficult if you don't have a lot of preconceived knowledge over the different types of businesses and the different types of things that go on in online business. And what I mean by that is like, when you're working a 9 to 5, you probably didn't know what average order value, lifetime value, conversion rate, closing ratio, KPIs, all these terms and terminology and business acumen that you don't know. And
Yeah.
so when I was lucky to step into a really good situation. It was a business coaching program based on like systems, operations, KPIs, team, you know, and they had really good systems and stuff built out. And I'm sure you know this too. Like a lot of these high ticket sales roles, they're not really organized. They don't all have defined sales processes, good sales managers, you know, a good situation for you to really enter into and be successful. And the one that I did found was very set up amazing. Like it had a proven sales process, great onboarding process, tons of videos for me to go through, a really good sales manager. And, you know, when you're 25, I think I was like 25, 26 years old, and I'm selling a $42,000 business coaching program on Zoom calls to 6 and 7 figure business owners, you know, you got to learn pretty quickly because you're going to look like an idiot real quick if you don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah.
my business acumen went through the roof because I had to, you know, when they get on the Zoom call and they see somebody who looks really young, like, you know, and I sold companies that were doing $12 million a year into why they needed business coaching. Like you have to really be able to know what you're talking about, ask the right questions, uncover the pain points, and kind of show value. And so that, you know, I did that for over a year. Like I think I was like a year and 5 months or so with that company. And again, absolutely accelerated my knowledge in just online business in general and kind of how things operate. And then the best part about it was that I had to go through the discovery phase with all these different business owners and different types of businesses. So I had to know, okay, if I get an e-com company on here, what questions do I need to ask them to uncover like what's going on in their business? If it's a
Yeah.
service agency, what questions do I need to ask them to uncover what's going on in their business? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I had to really understand what I needed to know. And that in turn taught me so much about all these different businesses and how they operate. And so I think that's something that I would say people need to think about or consider when trying to do online high ticket sales, is that you need to have a baseline knowledge or get yourself a baseline knowledge of a lot of different types of businesses. Because if you get on the interview and they start talking to you, they start throwing these terms at you and you have no idea, somebody else who has a little bit of experience is going to get that role probably over you because you have a higher learning curve than somebody else that's been doing it.
Yeah. That's like, it sounds like a really good intro, I guess, to high ticket sales because you're selling something that, you know, $42,000, let's just say you had 10% commission. Like it's not a small commission, right? You might have had more or less. I'm not sure, but, and then you're selling to people who are like, they're savvy buyers. They're not idiots. You know, they're not, they have money. You just have to convince them that what you've got is worth their money. How did you
Mhm.
find the insurance leads role, and how did you find the last one we just talked about?
So the insurance leads role was through Facebook. And then so business coaching program. So I think I may have told you this before, but like again, I've been on Money Twitter for a while, and so I don't know him personally, but I got to pay homage to Do, who for like I don't think he talks about it as much anymore, but a while back he was talking about high ticket sales. Like I don't know if he was the first one, but he was talking about high ticket sales a lot, and I followed
Yeah,
him. And so I don't know him on a personal level, but like I have messaged with him before, and so he got me into a Slack group or a Telegram group or something like that that was about high ticket sales. And so I started seeing things in there. And so then I was like, okay, so I'm going to take the initiative a little bit further. And I started just searching Facebook groups, high ticket sales
yeah,
Facebook groups, high ticket sales Facebook groups. And I joined a bunch of them. I had a pre-recorded video of like who I am, my experience. I had an incredible letter of recommendation from my old insurance agent that I work for. And so I just started messaging people in Facebook groups, and I got the role through a Facebook group.
yeah. Because that was that a did they have a good sized sales team on that business
There
coaching?
was only one other guy, and he was transitioning out. Or no, he was still going to stay on, and so I learned from him and the sales manager, and then eventually he ended up transitioning out, and so I was the only sales rep on the team, and so I got all the leads, and it was perfect.
Oh yeah. So that was after you quit the insurance job, or
Yep.
like
So I
kind
was
of
doing my
overlap?
business and doing high ticket sales for that business coaching program pretty much full time.
Yeah. So I'm curious. Like you said, you had a letter of recommendation, and obviously like some experience at the agency you were at prior, but what do you think were like the top two or three things that you had going into that interview with the business coaching team that like really sold you as like, oh yeah, you're the guy for this?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, I mean, I wasn't new to online space. Like I said, I had done some e-commerce in college, and then I had already closed a few clients in my business too. So I had that to kind of like talk about also. And like if I can like, here's the thing, working with these high level sports agencies and NFL players and stuff like that, they don't trust people very easily, right? So it's not easy to get in with these people and really develop relationships and sell them on why they should use your services. So it's not easy to do. So I really kind of talked a lot about that, and then how successful I was at the insurance sales, and then really I think it's just like anything else, man. Selling yourself in every facet of everything. Like I just preached that I was ready to work hard. I knew I could do it. I was going to learn. I was going to do anything that I had to do to be successful at it, and so I really just kind of sold myself honestly of like to why I was the right person for the job, and I think exuded confidence. I always had like a self confidence of myself of
Yeah.
like I knew I could be good at something, and I'm not going to stop until I'm the best at it. And so I think that just translated in the interview. I was like,
Yeah.
hire me, like you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, the way you present yourself and yeah, basically the way you present yourself on these interviews is so important. Like, sure, you can have the most badass resume ever, but if you show up to the call and you like aren't confident in what you can do or how you can potentially help, like, dude, that's what they're envisioning, or like that's how they're going to see you on the calls with their leads. So you
Mhm.
have to be able to show them that you're halfway decent on the interview for sure. Um, as far as sales training, like at this point you've gone into like 2 years of insurance sales, you're selling the leads, then you got the role of the business coaching gig. um Besides you just doing it, like did you invest in any training? Did you read books? Like how did you get better outside of doing it?
Um, when I worked at the insurance sales job, they paid for some training for us to go to in Atlanta. And it was good. Don't get me wrong, but it was more geared towards insurance. So like definitely picked up on some things, but I would say not as much as like I think doing, man. There's no
Yeah.
investing in coaching is going to accelerate your growth. It's just like anything else. Like you're paying for speed, essentially. You're paying to not have to go out 6 months and try to fail and figure it out on your own. You're paying for somebody who's already been there, done that, currently doing it to help accelerate your growth and get you there faster. So I 100% believe in coaching. The only coaching I ever necessarily invested in was the e-com stuff, but
Mhm.
sales, no, not really. I really just did it honestly, and then I had a really good sales manager too. Like when I was working at that business coaching program, the guy that was overseeing me was really good.
Yeah.
He was a 7-figure entrepreneur too. He had sold a couple businesses, so like I just got an opportunity to be around some high level people and learn from them. Um, I definitely think everybody can learn and get better, right? But at the end of the day, the truth is there's going to be people that are naturally a little bit better than somebody else. And I feel like I was already kind of naturally really good at it.
Mhm.
So it kind of just came natural to me. I really didn't invest in coaching. I just did it. I mean, when you're the only sales rep on the team and they're booking sometimes 5, 7 calls a day, 45-minute Zoom calls, like, I mean, I got a lot of reps in. You can't you
Yeah.
can't replace repetition. You know what I mean? So
Right.
at the end of the day, coaching is going to help you accelerate yourself. It's going to help you get better. And I tell everybody that I've worked with, don't when we don't meet, you need to be getting with somebody else and doing reps and getting mock calls and stuff like that. Because at the end of the day, I can give you the best information possible, but if you don't go out and do this every single day and practice it, you're not going to get better as fast as you really want to. So you got to
Yeah.
get reps in. So
So there so there's no like, and I know you didn't invest in anything but the e-commerce coaching, but as far as like people you would watch on YouTube, or I mean that's the main thing. I think like whenever I first started getting into sales, specifically like more remote high ticket, um like dude, I like, you have some downtime, you are like newer into like this type of sales, like I would go on YouTube and I would look up guys, Cole Gordon, Alex Ramosi, guys like that. Um, there was nobody like that for you as you were kind of like moving through your path here.
not necessarily. I definitely now. I think I found Hermosi like last year. So I started watching a lot of Hermosi. I've definitely seen my fair share of Hermosi stuff. That man's, I mean, he's incredible, dude.
Yeah.
He's so high level. But No, I would say no. There wasn't really someone specific then when I was really learning it that I was like watching YouTube videos. Honestly, man, it was working with my sales manager, practicing, reviewing my calls, seeing how
Yeah.
I can improve, going over me. Like I had a really good setup, man, because it was just me and the sales manager, and so he had to always focus on me and helping me improve, and we would review my stuff. And again, it was a really good situation because we're tracking KPIs. Like I had to meet certain closing ratios every single month. Here's how many calls you took. Here's how many you closed. Here was the show up rate. Like I knew all my numbers. And
Yeah.
so it's a refining process to get better when you can like look at the data. Like that was a big thing they preach. Look at data.
Yeah.
Data informs decisions. If my data doesn't show up that I'm doing it correctly, I clearly need to do something a little bit different, right? And so again, I think I started off pretty good, man, just because I swear, like you said, when you've done the stuff that you don't want to do and you have that experience, you worked harder then. Like you probably worked
Yeah.
harder from a difficulty standpoint when you were doing door to door than what you do now. But you make more
Oh
money
yeah.
now probably because it's a different vehicle, right? So because I had to work so hard then, it wasn't hard for me to step into this and just go full fledged with it.
Yeah. Dude, that sounds like a perfect environment to just like really figure this out. It was you as the sales team taking all the calls, literally your own personal sales manager, which is kind of crazy. Like one person sales team, like you would think they're better off just having two people on the sales team and like, but they had a sales manager just for you, which is awesome for you.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. Selling to like, I guess you were selling to all different types of businesses, right?
Yeah, so we were pretty strict. Like that's the thing. Some of these companies will just take clients' money just to close clients because they want to close
Yeah.
clients. That company was actually pretty particular about who they took on. So you had to be at a certain revenue level for them to take you on, and primarily online business.
Yeah.
But I mean, I closed, lawn care businesses. I closed e-commerce companies. Fitness coaching programs. Trading like crypto trading companies, like all
Yeah.
kinds of different companies. So again, huge benefit to me as an experience because I got to learn about all these different businesses because I'm going to go through the discovery process asking them questions anyway. So I got to really learn about all the different nuanced details in terms of all these different businesses. So yeah, sold to a lot of
Yeah.
different businesses, but they were minimally doing like 300K a year in revenue. But again, like I said, I sold up to companies doing like $12 million a year.
Mhm.
So it's all different types of businesses.
Yeah. That's, I think, a good topic to hit on would be like selling to those types of businesses is something that a lot of people would like to do. Like a lot of people get in here, they go into the coaching space, but it's like B2C, like e-commerce or something like that. And they're like, all right, dude, I'm ready for like the next step, like higher price point, better service, stuff like that. What are some of the things that you think helped you besides like having the training with the sales manager? Um, like what were some of the best practices that you picked up that allowed you to sell to these business owners that were, they're, we can call them like prestigious, like they had a nice resume and you were like a younger dude. Like how did you get good at that?
The sales process, man. The sales process was really good. And it's a sales process now. I think a lot of like a lot. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it was a really good sales process. And again, I stepped into a situation with like my onboarding process was like 20 Loom videos and documents and stuff like that. So it was a really good process for me to go through. I got to watch pre-recorded calls. I got to work with the guy who was already on the sales team and like go on mock calls with him and watch him do live calls and stuff like that. The sales process was so good, man. I would literally close clients and have clients emailing me to send them the call recording to implement the sales process into their businesses. So like
Yeah.
that's when you knew you're doing something right, when like somebody gets sold to and is really happy about it and also wants to learn from that process too.
Yeah.
So the sales process was really good. I was thinking, say, you probably tell people the same thing that you work with. It's like the discovery portion for most of these sales calls is the most important part of the call. If you're not really asking the right questions, I tell the people that I work with, we're not just checking a box here. We're not just moving on because we know we need to ask questions. We need to uncover the real pain points and uncover what type of situation they're in, what their problems are, what they're looking to improve on, what issue they're looking to get fixed, and then how our solution could potentially provide that solution to them to fix that problem. So the discovery process, man, like asking the right questions, uncovering. I didn't move on from that until I uncovered the pain points. Because if there's no pain,
Yeah.
especially when you're selling a $42,000 coaching program, it's really hard to get somebody to justify that. So you
Yeah.
have to uncover those pain.
So were you working off like super strong personal brand, or was this something where, hey, Facebook ads straight to the sales call, they don't even know who you are? Like, how warmed up to the idea were these people beforehand?
The owner had a pretty decent personal brand on Facebook. Um, not not a huge following though, honestly. But he had a book out. He had a book out that a lot of entrepreneurs knew. And so that helped for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, we would have some people that would come in knowing him, they had followed him for a period of time. So they already kind of knew what was up coming into the call. But
Yeah.
then we definitely, they ran ads. It was all ads too. Ads and then some from the book organically too, but
Yeah.
mainly cold traffic. And so, again, taking somebody from full cold traffic to pulling out their credit card to pay 40 to commit to 42K annually
It's crazy.
is not something that's easy to do. So you really have to uncover the pain points and stuff like that. But again, something that they would talk about is like, getting people 80% sold before the sales call.
Yeah.
So really good pre-call sequences. When someone booked a call, they would get hit with videos of like, different tips and things that we preach in the program and stuff like that. So again, I learned a ton about like how the whole funnel works. And I
Yeah.
tweeted about this like this week, I think, or last week. It's like one of the most underrated benefits of doing high ticket sales is the knowledge. You get firsthand insights and knowledge of how they acquire clients, what their systems and processes look like, how are they fulfilling this service or product at scale, what does the team setup look like, all
Yeah.
these different things that you can then, if you want to stay in high ticket sales, obviously, learn that, give tips to the next team that you're on, whatever the case may be, or learn that and then build your own thing. And all these things about how the business operates already because you were there and you saw it firsthand.
Yeah. Dude, I think I think that is a natural progression. Like, closer for maybe a year or 2 years, maybe 3 years if you're making good money, and then get over to business owner, because like you're definitely seeing how the leads are generated. If it's Facebook ads, like you're probably aware of like the questions that you're asking and that kind of stuff. Maybe you don't know Facebook ads, but you can find somebody who does. And then operations like fulfillment, I mean, depending on what you're doing, that could look different. But if you don't know how to do it, find somebody. And you basically just become the owner instead of taking a little 10% commission. So that's a really good point. Like, the skills that you're learning, yes, you're learning how to sell, but you're also getting a look into like in front of you and behind you. And then you take that and make something so easily. Uh,
100%. And yeah,
Go
I was
ahead,
just say,
Caleb.
yeah, it gives you the skills, but also like, it shows you what to look for too. So like, something people talk about a lot, and I think it's 100% true, is like, if I know that I'm really, really good at sales, let me go find somebody that knows marketing really well, or let me go find somebody that knows how to fulfill an X service really, really well that's in demand. And then that creates a really good synergy because you can focus on what you focus on that you're really good at, and they can kind of focus on what they do.
Yeah.
But you know what to look for in that.
Mm-hmm. Was when you were selling the business coaching, like $42,000, would you have people come on and be like, first call, here's my card, run it, paid in full like that? Or was it like sometimes two calls or follow-ups, or how did it play out?
Definitely follow up sometimes, but definitely had a lot of one call closes, 100%. But they had payment plans too, so it wasn't always cutting a check for 42 grand.
Yeah.
They had some discounts if you would pay annually. If you pay in 6 months, they had some price breaks and stuff like that too. And then you could pay monthly also.
Mhm.
And so that was a cool part about that too, is that you can kind of get some residuals as the closer also for closing deals, depending on what pay structure they came into.
Yeah.
But yeah, 100%, man. We would close a lot of deals off cold traffic, like one call closes. And so
Yeah.
again, like, really, really good experience in that.
I bet like the first time you closed $42,000 deal, like, did that break some limiting beliefs for you?
100%, man. 100%. It's like, this world, I think, like our world that we're in now, the high ticket online space, just all this stuff, sensitizes yourself to these numbers, right? Because there's
Yeah.
so much money flowing in circuit all the time that people don't really realize. Like, there's transactions going on all the time for hundreds of thousands of dollars that people don't even know about. So yeah, it really took limiting beliefs 100% to a new level because I had never sold something that was that expensive, or I had never, gotten somebody to commit to buy something that was that expensive. So yeah,
Yeah.
definitely it changed the way I thought for sure.
It's crazy too, because like I came from roofing, and like average ticket price was like $10,000, and to like people in high ticket sales, that would be like pretty high ticket. But then I would sell roofs that were 20, 30, 50. Like I sold one roof that was 134K one time. But like to me, there was so much work that went into it. I was like, this makes sense. But then I came over to high ticket sales, and I'm not saying it didn't make sense, but I was like, holy shit, like people will pay $20,000 for a completely digital product where there's like 95% profit margins, which was like kind of mind blowing. And then you get into like the bigger leagues, people are paying like six figures for this shit. And I think
100%. Yeah.
that is like definitely, I had a limiting, I didn't even have a limiting belief, but I was like, holy shit, like this is real. And there is like something serious here when I came in.
Yeah. 100%, man. It's crazy. Like, and it just shows you that how much value you can bring in different ways. Like, just there's no excuse anymore. There's too many different ways to make money and too much information at people's fingertips. And we haven't really got into Twitter yet, but like, man, people heavily underestimate how blessed we really are to have access to the information that we have access to at our fingertips, and the people that go out of their way to drop knowledge and drop game on different things you can learn about. Like if you just pay attention, follow the right people, and take that knowledge and actually implement it, I mean, you can do whatever. And and a lot of information is free nowadays too. I mean, YouTube is
Yeah.
incredible. So
Yeah. I mean, we definitely, like, even myself, I'll say, like, I'd probably take it for granted because everything is right there. Bro, people are airing out how they scale their businesses in a way that they shouldn't, because it's like, it's going to saturate the market or whatever. But dude, whatever you want to learn, there are people who are posting exactly how to do it, probably more so than they should.
yeah.
So we can transition into that, I guess. So you ended up on Twitter, connected with some guys who then led you to the Facebook groups. You found this opportunity. How did things play out after that? Obviously, like, you're not selling that anymore. So one, I guess, like, when did you realize, like, all right, man, now it's time to take that next jump into, I guess you then went to like really lean into your business, right?
Yeah. So I again, it's in this space, you can be the best closer of all time. It's just like anything else. If you're not in the right vehicle, you're not going to make the money that you really want to make, right? So and don't get me wrong, I made solid money, but I wanted to make more. I wanted to do more. So I actually reached out to Alex from who owned Closify, and I knew him already. Like we had kind of talked before, and he kind of knew a little bit about me and that I wasn't like some newbie or anything like that. And so connected with him and Josh actually, and then they helped ping me to another opportunity where I got exposure into like the e-commerce investment firm type model. And man, again, tons of business acumen, tons of knowledge that I got access to. Started making a lot more money, and then again, gave me the idea to do what I'm doing now. So that's why I think one of the biggest lessons that my stepmom always told me is that, like, one thing's always going to lead to the next. Like one thing just transpires to the next thing, and you never know where that's going to end up taking you. So yeah, got knowledge from another opportunity, and then parlayed that into what I'm doing now. And then now just really scaling my business really and focusing on building out more relationships, building out more things that I can do, because I'm just dealing with like higher level stuff. So it's higher leverage in terms of like how I
Yeah.
actually spend my time and everything. But yeah, I would say, again, Twitter connection, like connecting with somebody via Twitter that led to an opportunity. So, and I haven't even been somebody that, I was more behind the scenes. Like, it's not like I was actively posting about what I was doing and stuff like that too.
Yeah.
So that just shows people too, if anybody's listening to this, if you don't have a personal brand or anything like that, it doesn't mean you can't connect with some of these people too. Like, there's a lot of good people on the platform that, if you approach them the right way, will provide value to you and help you. Like,
Yeah.
I'll show homage right now to one of the biggest dudes who's on there now, who is the best, I think, at this, and that's Cold Email Wizard, man. Like, I've been following that dude since he had like 1,000 followers, maybe less. And he followed me way back in the day, and I don't know him on a personal level, but we've talked definitely through Twitter and stuff like that. and he's got over 100,000 followers now on Twitter, but he'll still to this day probably sit there and give value to somebody and answer somebody's question if they have a question, no matter what level they're on.
Yeah.
And again, that's probably attributed to why he's so successful in what he does now, because he genuinely cares too. So yeah, use it at your for your value is what I would say.
Yeah, it's insane, dude. You never know who's messaging you, who's watching your content. Both the opportunities that I'm on now as a sales rep, like they came through like a higher level network connection. And usually for me, like the highest ROI thing, besides like having a presence on Twitter, is like investing into groups and networks. And that's where, I've always branded myself as like the sales guy, and the sales guy who knows a bunch of sales guys. And so anybody needs somebody, they either come and they're like, hey man, can I hire you? And if I can take it, I will. If not, I just connect somebody else who is like, come to work with me. So dude, Twitter is like, when I was quitting my job, my roofing job, the very first thing I did was I started pushing hard on Twitter. And so originally I was tweeting about roofing sales, and I was just tweeting about like sales in general, but I don't know why. I had been on money to Twitter in like 2017, 2018, the e-commerce thing, like Nate Schmidt and those guys. But then this time around, I finished my degree, got the sales job, and I was like, dude, I just know that Twitter is going to be like quintessential in me breaking out of this and making it work. And it was like, I can't put a price on how valuable it's been to me, but I think a lot of people are waking up to the idea of like, hey, at least branding myself a little bit, like at least have a profile picture or a bio, like stuff like that. But even like when we connected, I had known who you were. I didn't know you were like on Twitter or anything, but I knew you were like, I knew Closify had a guy that they'd use to like help train people. And I knew I had heard your name, but then when I saw the Twitter, I was like, okay, it makes sense. And then I like followed you back immediately. And obviously like, yeah, dude, you're up to some big things behind the scenes, which is, it makes it so much easier for you to grow when you come into the space and like have the resume behind you. But also for the new guys, dude, like if you're like live tweeting the come up and you're giving like open and honest insights as to what is going on and the ups and the downs, like you're going to grow really fast. So yeah, get 100%. On Twitter and like, don't be a fucking ghost. Cause I made that mistake first time around. I was a ghost. And, I probably like, if I would have gone harder on Twitter and like connecting with people back in like 2017, 2018, I may have never even had the sales job that I had because I made the other shit work because I knew the right people. So
yeah, you just touched on a lot of good stuff, man. So number one, I'm gonna plug it for you. Your sales group is incredible. So if anybody wants to get access to an opportunity, I'm inside. So I know firsthand it's legit. It's the real deal. A lot of value being exchanged in that group. And it's cool because it's just a lot of people in the same space doing the same stuff, connecting with each other. So can't put a price tag on that really either. And the fact that getting access to network and getting access to people who are on the same mission as you and trying to do the same things. And then, yeah, 100%, I agree with you. So for me personally, it was one of those things where like, I didn't want to be, I don't know. I feel like I personally, and this is again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I wanted to actually accomplish some things and feel like I actually had credibility behind me before I actually could start talking about or giving game or, telling people about the things I'm doing and experience and stuff like that. And I agree with you. I think that, the regret I would say I have is not starting earlier, right? Because I've only been doing it, like actually posting and actually talking about what I've been doing, I don't know, 2 months now, really. And I've already seen that growth. I have people messaging me, telling me, hey man, your content really resonates with me. Like I'm in the same boat as you were. Like I would love to pick your brain about this and that. And it's really cool to like see the impact you can have on people. And also just connect with other people too. Like you never know what type of opportunities will come your way just from putting yourself out there. Like I've already made a connection that I'm going to do some business with already from Twitter. So like I think I agree with you. I think starting early and talking about your journey and your insights and like just being genuine. You don't have to act like you're the biggest dog in the world, but like,
Right.
just being real about who you are, what you're doing and how you're doing it. People will really resonate with that, and you can build a lot faster. I would say the biggest regret I would have is not starting a little bit sooner, to be honest.
Dude, that's one thing that like I kind of had to put it aside when I started too. And somebody mentioned like, dude, no matter where you are, there's always somebody a step behind you wanting to know how you got where you were. And so like, even if you went back all the way to when you were like starting your second year of insurance sales, you could have still built a following as long as you're doing it and you're like, hey guys, this is what I'm doing. And you're not like lying about what you've done and all that. Like, dude, there are people who will follow you and potentially pay you to teach them to do that. And that's why like my brand is really revolved around like finding the opportunities and transitioning and getting started. Like you'll never see me out here flexing like, oh, this is how I made 40, 50K a month, high ticket closing 3 hours a day. Cause I haven't done that. Like that'd be
Yeah.
awesome. I'd hope I get there one day. But
Mm.
yeah, my whole thing is like, I mean, now I'm also connecting people too. And that's kind of just been like a natural progression. But my whole thing is
Yeah.
just like, dude, I was in this job. I saw there was potential to do something better. I got out. I can help you do it. Um,
Yeah. You're really
with
good at that. I think that's something that you have a lot of good expertise on because honestly, like, don't get me wrong, I had to go out and find my opportunities, but I don't want to say I got lucky because I had to work hard and like put myself in a position to be able to get it. But at the
yeah,
same time, I kind of naturally have had some good breaks, I would say, in terms of getting opportunities. So I haven't been the guy that's like struggled and sit there, send 100 messages and try to find different ways to get in contact with people to get an opportunity and stuff like that.
yeah,
And you have a lot of good insights on that. So I think that's for people who don't know, that's a really good thing to learn is like, okay, because not everybody's like us who's coming from a 9 to 5 or something like that. There's people that want to go straight into high ticket sales and like, that's not as easy. So learning how to actually navigate that and do that is very important to know.
dude. There's already so much nuance in sales itself, but like in high ticket commission only sales, so fucking easy to get burnt. It's so
Oh
easy,
yeah.
and like, I mean, my first opportunity, thankfully, I had a strong referral, and it wasn't a poor one. But since then, like, dude, I've been on some terrible ones, like just completely dog shit. Like, I'll get on, and then like I get hired on with 4 reps, and we're all gone by the end of the week because it's like people just completely misrepresenting. So yeah, dude, I mean, a lot of people also have the wrong idea that like, oh, in order for me to do high ticket sales, I have to buy a $5,000 course and learn sales like the back of my hand. Like, no, dude, to be an appointment setter, you just need good English and good Wi-Fi and like show up on time. That's it.
Yeah.
Sure, like once you get the job, you should learn how to do it as good as you can. But bro, like the requirements are not a $5,000 coaching program and 60 hours of pre-recorded content.
No, because also like, at the end of the day, these business owners don't want to waste their time for sure. But it's low risk. They're not paying you a salary most of the time. So it's low risk to them to give you a shot. So if you can really just express that, you're willing to work hard, you're going to do everything you need to do, and you're going to show up every single day and you're competent and you kind of know what's going on, people will take a chance on you. And then that's all about just taking advantage of that chance and doing a really good job. And then parlaying that experience into the next thing and then parlaying that into the next thing and just progressing, going through that natural progression. But 100%, it's harder, I would say, coming in with no experience, but you definitely don't need you definitely don't need to drop 5K on a coaching program just to be successful. Like I haven't
Yeah.
done that. I don't know if you've done that, but you don't have to do that.
Yeah. No, and I'm here for coaching. Like I've invested a lot of money into coaching, not all for sales, but like you said earlier, like it's just going to expedite things. And you're going to get connected to people who you wouldn't have gotten connected to otherwise, who, if you're paying big money, you're going to be in a big network, right? Like these guys have the money to pay for it. They have value. I One of the first ones that I got into is a program with JK Molina and Ed Lattimore back in early last year. And Ed said something. You know who Ed Lattimore is?
I think
So,
I've seen his account. I don't know him, but I know who JK. I don't personally, but I know who you're talking about, JK
yeah.
Molina.
So they were doing like a Twitter growth thing, and we had our first live call. Ed hopped on, and we're like, the whole thing is like, dude, to grow on Twitter, you have to make content. And we're all kind of like, dude, we never made content. How do we do it? And he was like, you guys had the money to pay to get in here, and you had to earn it. And so you had to know something to earn it. So like the fact that you are here says that you know something about what it is that you're doing. And that kind of like stuck with me a bit. I was like, huh, like, shoot, dude, like I did have the money to spend on this, and it wasn't like a $2,000, it was a little bit more. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, that was like a good perspective shift too. And then through that network, like my very, very first, I forgot about this one. I hardly even count it. My very, very first high ticket sales job was part time with a business owner who also bought into that. And I was selling for his agency. And so from there, I had that opportunity. I probably had like two others, and that like group is no longer around, but we're still kind of connected. And so,
Yeah,
yeah, the network is like, it just snowballs, dude,
for
with
sure.
your
I mean,
skill set.
I've trained people that like, I know them now. You know what I mean? So that every time I
Yeah.
get somebody to approach me for a sales coaching or a sales role or something like that, those are going to be the first people that I think about is people that I've already worked with and that I've personally trained myself and that I know I can actually speak for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's definitely value in getting access to people's network because you never know when somebody you meet might need something that you can provide or think of you the next time some type of opportunity arises and you will get that when you otherwise wouldn't have if you never connected with that person.
Yeah, dude. It is the most important thing. Like it's hard, like from the outside looking in, if you're not connected, this probably sounds like bullshit. And I don't blame you for thinking that because I thought it was bullshit too. But then I got inside, started meeting some of these bigger players and the people that they know and what they're doing. And especially if you provide a service, be it sales or copywriting or whatever, like, dude, just meet enough people and you will have a client base. Like, and then good
Mhm.
word spreads. And then soon enough, like your freelance work, you're now an agency and you're having other people do it for you. And then next thing you know, like you have a business that's doing 20K a month and you hardly even work on it, which is fucking
Yeah.
sweet. So
I think that's the best thing about my business is that the network, man. Like, I forever, regardless of I could lose everything tomorrow. And because of my experience and because of my, connections and network that I have, I would be able to go get something. I would be able to go do something that would be pretty high level just because of the connections and relationships that I've developed. And so I think that honestly, that's my favorite part about my business, honestly, is the fact
yeah,
that I get to connect with really high level people.
dude, perfect example. Like right now, if either one of us fell off the cliff and everything went to shit, like I know that I could go to you and you could probably connect me with someone and that you could come to me and I could definitely connect you to someone. And so
Yeah.
like that just times, I'm sure you know a ton of other people in this space. Like, yeah, dude, it's
And we've
insane.
never
So
even met in person.
I know,
And we've
right?
never even met in person.
Yeah.
Like that shows the power of the internet.
Yeah, it's insane. Um so going more into like the businesses that you're running now, it's two different businesses, right?
Yep. Essentially,
So
yes.
one of them is you're like basically brokering e-commerce brand transactions. Is that correct?
Yeah, but I'm a little bit more involved in that. It's not just brokering. It's like I help vet them, find them, do the due diligence, get all the information on it, and then I have relationships with buyers that are actively looking for these investments. And then I'm essentially connecting the dots, but I get more involved once the actual acquisition goes through by helping implement teams and scale the businesses. And here's what I recommend doing here because I have experience now, especially in e-commerce. So I'm a little bit more involved than just simply brokering the deal.
Yeah,
And I'm about to get, a little bit more involved on, the capital raising side and stuff like that too. So I'm pretty excited about that. Just because it's a whole nother world that like, again, didn't even know it existed before, but now I'm like dipping my toes in it. And, I'll probably sit down 3 years from now, 5 years from now and be like, that's one of the best things I've ever done also, just because of like the
yeah.
experience I'm going to get by doing it. You know what I mean?
That's
And then the other one is the athlete side, building these brands for these athletes.
that's so crazy. Like when you think about it, fundamentally, it's sales and it's e-commerce. If you know a little bit about both and you try hard enough and apply yourself, like you can create something like you've created where it's just much more higher leverage, right? We're talking higher ticket price. You're the owner, so you're getting more than 10%.
Mhm.
And then you have the other business working with the athletes, which is like also fucking cool. Like you're selling your own deals, you're working with high profile people, you're meeting people. Where do you like, I guess next year or 5 years, like what are your plans? What do you want to do with them?
Um, I would say with the athlete side of things, man, I have a lot of exciting things I'm working on. Like I we just got our own machine. I just got new high level machines. So like there's a whole printing side of the business that, we have to print the apparel and ship the apparel and that kind of stuff, right? So I'm reinvesting back into that and increasing our capacity and increasing the volume of to what we can do. And that's a whole nother business that I can now, monetize is printing apparel and stuff like that for not just athletes, but like corporate companies and different people that need, that those businesses have been
Yeah.
around for years, right? So like that's a whole nother way I can make money now is, some corporate company needs 100 t-shirts for some event. Okay, we'll go ahead and supply that, right? So there's a lot of different ways I'm expanding on that regard. And then, connecting with more athletes, connecting with more agents. I mean, there's a lot of people. I haven't dipped into the NBA yet. That's something I'm going to do pretty soon, and I want to do is get more into the NBA and work with more NBA guys, some higher level MLB guys. I have a platform that I'm launching pretty soon that's going to be, more of like a centralized platform to house all my clients on there, and then work with other clients too, because people were really passionate about building their own brands, having their own website, everything like that. I'm always going to still have that aspect, but not everybody necessarily wants to do their own website or wants to do their own full brand. But who's to say that, and I'm just throwing this name out there, I'm not actually working, but who's to say that like Aaron Rodgers wouldn't want to do a couple designs or something like that, right? So
Yeah.
doing little collaborations and stuff like that. So this centralized platform is going to give me an opportunity to work with more people and allow and give different cool ways to monetize these athletes' followings because they have massive personal brands that with nothing but fans that follow them and that are interested in what they do and really, look up to them and respect them and things like that. So why not have different ways that you can interact and connect with your fans and monetize that too? Because, yes, they make great money on the field, but there's so many other ways to make money beyond football too, or beyond whatever sport that they play. So expanding in that, just building that out bigger and bigger. And then on the other side, just again, taking it to the next level. I think there's a lot of things I can do on the other side too, in the capital raising side and acquisition side and stuff like that. Like my brother-in-law is in private equity and does like mergers and acquisitions. That's a whole nother world that is massive. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
stuff that goes on in those. So like just getting exposure to bigger stuff, you know what I mean? Just like anything else, elevating and growing and trying to do bigger things pretty much.
Dude, that's so awesome. Like if any of you guys are listening and you're not already in sales, just fucking start.
Dude,
Just
that's what
start
I'm
because
saying.
like I think you said your stepmother said like one thing just leads to the next, leads to the next. Just do something and connect with people who are either doing it or who could potentially benefit from what you do. And just keep doing that over I guess going all the way back from the insurance days to now, like how long total time frame?
I think like 5 years. I think it's been like 5 years now.
It's like a drop in the bucket when
Yeah.
you're not even 30 yet and you've got like all this stuff under your belt. You only have to be right once to like set yourself up to where you never worry about money again. You live the life that you want.
Mhm.
Um, and you should start with sales if you're not already doing that. It's the Sales Bro Pod. You're probably already in sales, but
If you're
just like
not, you need to be because
yeah,
it still translates to everything, man. I mean, you go meet people that at the bar when you're hanging out, you want to connect with friends, you want to make new friends, whatever the case may be. You're always going to be doing some form of communication, some form of selling yourself. Like, why should I be friends with this guy? Why should I want to even know who this person is? And as you become a person of higher value, more people are going to want to connect with you, and you'll have access to more opportunities too. So you got
yeah,
to develop skills and sales. I think we've both it personally impacted our lives, but I would say it's got to be one of the most high impact skills and high income skills that are out there for sure.
yeah. So you've done a lot of the work you've done after leaving the insurance agency has been like with high profile people. And I think this is a unique insight that you'll have that not many others will have. I think some people listening have dealt with or are dealing with like those who are successful in business. But like when you're working with athletes, like just high profile athletes, like how is that different than working with like the successful business people or anyone else you would work with? Like what, how do you make that happen?
Yeah, I mean, it's you really need to be able to communicate effectively. Like I said, they have, when you're in a position like they are, they have a lot of people that want to, take advantage of them, I would say. Like a lot of people that don't always have their best interest in heart. And so you really have to be a good, genuine person, obviously, and be able to really provide value to them. And then also, just be open and transparent, I think, like, and do a good job. Like at the end of the day, if you develop a good reputation and do good work and do good business and do right by people, that's going to go 10 times further. So just, I would say, communicating effectively, providing value, doing what you say you're going to do, being transparent, and really just doing a good job. I would say that's the biggest thing. But I would say that it's obviously two different worlds, right?
Yeah.
So it's two different types of people that you're connecting with. But at the end of the day, it's the same thing. You need to, be genuine, be a good person, really provide value, do what you say you're going to do. If you mess up, if you do something wrong, take ownership of it, make it right,
Yeah.
and just do good business, really.
Yeah. I'm sure especially in that industry where like these guys are super close to each other and then they do have to like watch their back a little bit more than other industries. Like I'd assume good work goes far with word of mouth with some of these guys. Have you seen a lot of work come in from like referrals and stuff?
To be completely honest, I don't really even, and I will soon probably more, but I don't even really do that much outreach or anything. Like my company's kind of developed, at least in the NFL, kind of developed a pretty good reputation at this point for doing really good job at what we do.
Yeah.
So I would say all my clients really is word of mouth. All my clients are word of mouth. I don't run any advertisements or anything like that really. It's all word of mouth and just connecting with people. And then, if they see that I worked with one of their teammates, they know their teammate, they can just ask their teammate, hey, how is it working with this guy? How did it go? And
Yeah.
then, again, it's a trust factor, right? Like if I have a good relationship with one of these athletes and he knows I've done good work, and then he connects with one of these other athletes, you can be like, oh, you're close with so and so. Well, now I know you're good people because you've connected with you did work with him, right? So like, I
Yeah.
literally got told that like last week. I'm working on getting a new client right now, and he goes, "Oh, you work with my teammate, so I know you're good people because he's a good guy." You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I would say doing good work in that industry is taking me so far.
Yeah. Are you like a NFL fan yourself? Like, do you follow any teams?
Yeah, I like the Saints, but I would say I'm more of a college football fan. I love football. Football is my favorite sport. But I'm way more of a LSU college football fan than I am in the NFL. But I have to
Yeah.
pay attention to it obviously because like I have clients in the NFL. So I'm not the biggest NFL fan, but I like the Saints.
Yeah. I was going to ask you, like, have you gotten to work with like some of your favorite players and stuff like that? I know you've worked with some like players that everybody would know, but I was curious, like, if you got to work with any of your favorites.
Yeah, so like I said, I'm a massive LSU football fan. And I have Devin White as a client who's a Pro Bowl linebacker for the Bucks. And I literally went to his games when he was at LSU and always watched his games. So that was really cool. And then Terrace Marshall Jr., he's a wide receiver for the Panthers. And I've actually developed a really, really good relationship with him. Like we're really cool. And I mean, he was on the 2019 team that won the national championship with like Joe Burrow and all those guys.
Yeah.
And so I went to like 6 games that year and saw a ton of their games. And then right when he transitioned from college into the NFL, I started working with him, and it meant a little bit more to me than don't get me wrong, work with any of these guys is awesome and high level people, but like when you actually are a fan of these people and actually like get to watch them on and really care about their success, and you get a chance to work with them, it's really cool.
Dude, that's awesome. I like the stuff that you do. It's like it's not like you're over here doing Facebook ads. It's not like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'll remake your landing page. Like the work you're doing, there's so much like there's so many intricacies to it. It's super super interesting. But we're pushing up on 70 minutes here. So I guess one thing that we haven't talked about I want to ask you, like, what is one thing that we haven't talked about that you think the people that would listen to this podcast would benefit from hearing from your point of view?
Um, I would say, I would say it's all about your situation. And what I mean by that is like, at the end of the day, everybody wants different things in life, like in terms of like what they want to accomplish or what they want to do. And so if you're happy with your situation, you enjoy what you do, and you are happy with the money you make, you're happy with with the time freedom you have, the location freedom you have, all that kind of stuff. Don't let us or anybody else on the internet like make you feel less than or anything like that. I don't really agree with that.
Yeah.
But the people out there that want more or want to do more or don't like their current situation or not happy with their current situation, like, use the tools that you have access to. Use free things like Twitter and YouTube and things like that, like we've been talking about this whole podcast, and connect with people that you want to work with or that you want to learn from. And put yourself out there. That's what I would say. Put yourself out there. Like, it's not like I wasn't probably nervous when I first started sending some DMs and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, like, what's the worst that somebody's going to say? No. Okay. Well, now you're in the same position that you were before you sent that message. So, put yourself out there and use the tools you have access to. And if you're not happy with your current situation, then do something about it. That's what I would say, because being on the other side, I'm sure you can talk about, like, from going from like not really loving your situation to like now where I enjoy what I do actually genuinely every single day, it just makes your quality of life 10 times better. So I would say, if you think about you might want to make a change, just do it. That's what I would say.
That's one thing that people definitely take for granted as far as like this little pocket of internet money or whatever, Twitter, or it goes outside of Twitter, but just like the whole abundance mindset. Because like for me, you're from Houston, right?
Yeah, I grew up in Katy, which is like a suburb of Houston.
So I bet you were surrounded by a lot of people you went to school with, and maybe family, maybe not. But like I'm in San Antonio, and everybody, dude, just has like scarcity mindset. They're like, get the job, be safe. Your friend, I mean, I got a lot of friends who are like, they're just like playing it safe, And when you get on this side of Twitter and you meet guys that are, playing offense instead of defense, it's so refreshing to be able to connect with them. And then, after you're putting in the work for a week, a month, reconnect, and you're like, dude, I'm not crazy. Like, this guy understands me, and these people get me. Yeah. So it's so valuable. It's so valuable to have that.
And it shows you what's possible. I mean, in our corner, like this dude's crushing multi 6-figure months. Like, it's nothing. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's motivating too. Cause it's like, if you're not there, you kind of feel like, okay, what do I got to do to get there? You know what I mean? So it's really motivating too.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, this has been a really good episode. Like, going through, I mean, we didn't really get into like the intricacies of how you sell and stuff like that, but like, I think the natural progression is something that a lot of people who are listening to this are kind of looking for. They're like, okay, I'm in sales now. I'm going to get better. I'm going to make more money, but what's next? And I think this is going to be super, super valuable. So to wrap it up here, where do people find you? Where do you want to direct them?
I would say follow me on Twitter at ColeAngelle. That's my name. That's where I post, honestly. Like, I'm actually like trying to build my brand now and post more about what I do and insights and stuff like that. So I'd say follow me on Twitter, connect with me on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Instagram, I may eventually start posting more on Instagram. But I would say that's probably the best place to connect with me is Twitter.
Dude, I think this is kind of off topic, but like the kind of work that you're doing and the industries that you're working in, like if you started making short form, not like you talking at the camera, but like, this is the work that I do, this is the life that I live. Like, dude, you could totally rip on like TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that.
Yeah, I know. I've thought about it. I need to get on it.
For sure. But yeah, follow this guy on Twitter, follow him on Instagram. So when he starts posting that content, you see it.
Yeah.
And, last thing, like, as far as people who want to like inquire how they could work with you, like what do you offer at this time?
In terms of where people would get the most value from me from, probably would be sales training. Cause like, and I think I've talked about this too. Not everybody's going to obviously start their own businesses. And what I do is kind of unique, I would say. So, but if you want to get into high ticket sales and learn how I've been successful at that, I would say that's the best way that I can probably help you is as I do like small group coaching. I have really no intentions as of this moment to build some massive, mass scale coaching program or something like that where I won't be involved. I work anybody that comes to work with me. I want to make sure that they're going to actually get value from it and really have success with it. So I do small group coaching for high ticket sales. I can help you improve your skills, give you all the insights of everything that I've been involved in, what's made me successful in sales, and I can help you connect and get a better opportunity between me and this guy right here on this call. Will definitely help you get in that better opportunity. So I would say, yeah, if you want to learn from me, I would say just connect with me on Twitter, shoot me a DM, and I'd be happy to help you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you guys got to lock in with this guy. If you're already in like my community, he's in there. He's really busy, so he's not that active. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you can
I
send
need to
this
be
guy
more active.
messages in there 100%. So Cole, I appreciate you coming on. This has been an absolute banger of an episode, and I can't wait for these guys to listen to it.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. It was awesome talking with you, and I hope people get value from it.
Awesome. Catch you soon, man.
All right, later, man.